Good morning. It's Friday, April 10th, and we're going to continue our discussion on perception, and more specifically, how perception can influence our overall mental well being. So, the prompt for today was, how do my judgments cause me anguish? Now, when I hear this question, I'm immediately called to Shakespeare's line that says, there is no good or bad, but thinking that makes it so. Now, again, this is a really challenging concept, not just to understand, but to truly embrace. But with enough practice and an attention, we can override our natural animalistic instincts to apply meaning to situations where there really is none. But first, I think it's important to understand the difference between observing and perceiving. In the Book of Five Rings, the 16th century samurai Miyamoto Musashi says that observation and perception are two different things. The observing eye is stronger, the perceiving eye is weaker. These are two different ways of seeing the world. So, on one hand, we have the observing eye, which is only concerned with the truth of what is happening in the present. It only sees what there is, nothing more, nothing less. It ignores all distractions, exaggerations, and misconceptions. The observing eye is reality. Now, on the other hand, we have the perceiving eye, and the perceiving eye sees more than what there is. It takes into account other information and it tries to interpret things that it cannot understand. The perceiving eye is full of noise, fear, regret, doubt, and it finds obstacles, setbacks, and issues where none may exist. It prevents us from operating in the present. Now, most of us are guilty of using the perceiving eye more than we'd like to admit. But going back to the prompt of how do my judgments cause me anguish, many of the problems in our lives come from applying judgments to things that we don't control. Those judgments cause us unnecessary anguish. But just as Marcus Aurelius reminds himself, you don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. Things can't shape our decisions by themselves. But unfortunately, that cannot be true when we see things using the perceiving eye. When we face a situation, we have to remember how to focus on what we can control and what we truly know. We need to see things as they really are and nothing more. You have to remove emotion and interpretation from the equation. So thinking about how do we apply that to right now? In this period of disruption and downtime, it's a really good opportunity that provides us with the time to step back and properly assess things for what they are. We can create that space between impression and perception and action. So maybe that's taking a step back to look at our consumer habits. What are our materialistic desires versus our true necessities? Maybe it's our choice of career and overall satisfaction with that. Are we just doing something because that is what is expected of us? Similarly, maybe it's peer pressure or our perceived societal expectations, which then lead to the prioritization of our actions. So is that what is influencing us pursuing our interests and hobbies and skill development? Maybe it's learning to use this time, assuming that we have our health, as an opportunity to be happier and live a life more fulfilled. But to wrap up, I think that if we take things at face value, that brings a level of simplicity to life that we often overlook. And simplicity is usually tightly aligned with authenticity. But we can achieve that by training ourselves to use the observing eye, which then allows us to exist, serve, create, and act in the present, which ultimately is the most rewarding place to be. Hope you found that useful. Have a great one. Bye.